The cardiac monitor's steady beep turned into a scream just as the ceiling exploded. Dr. Elena Vasquez dove behind the crash cart as debris rained down on Trauma Bay 7, her coffee mug shattering against the wall where her head had been 3 seconds earlier. Through the smoke and sparks of severed power lines, she could see something moving in the hole above, something that definitely wasn't supposed to be there. Well, she muttered, checking her pulse oximeter readings from muscle memory even as the world ended around her, this is either the worst malpractice suit ever, or we're officially having a very bad day. The thing that dropped through the ceiling looked like someone had crossed a praying mantis with a surgical robot and given it serious anger management issues. Its 4 arms moved with the precise, deliberate motions Elena recognized from watching senior surgeons work, except instead of scalpels, each hand held weapons that hummed with energy she could feel in her teeth. It paused, scanning the room with sensors that clicked and whirred. Then it spoke in a voice like breaking glass being fed through a vocoder. Medical personnel detected. Initiating sterilization protocol. Elena pressed herself further behind the cart. Sterilization protocol. Buddy, you're about 15 minutes too late. This place hasn't been sterile since the Clinton administration. The creature, she was already thinking of it as the surgeon based on its methodical movements, turned toward her voice. Its sensor array focused on her location with the kind of attention usually reserved for finding the source of internal bleeding. Located, Dr. Elena Vasquez. Cardiovascular surgeon. Threat level, maximum. Threat level maximum. Elena couldn't help herself. Have you seen my student loan debt? I'm barely a threat to my own credit score. But the surgeon wasn't interested in her financial situation. It raised one of its weapons, and Elena caught a glimpse of something that looked like a fusion of laser scalpel and bone saw before the emergency lighting died completely. In the darkness, she heard the familiar voice of Asclepius, the hospital's AI system, speaking through the emergency speakers with its usual calm bedside manner. Dr. Vasquez, please remain calm. I am initiating lockdown protocols and have contacted emergency services. Also, I should mention that similar attacks are occurring at medical facilities worldwide. Worldwide? Elena crawled toward the emergency supply cabinet, her hands finding gauze and surgical tape by touch. Let me guess, they're not here for the Jell-O cups. Preliminary analysis suggests the attackers are specifically targeting medical infrastructure and personnel. Hospitals, clinics, research facilities, pharmaceutical companies, and anyone with advanced medical training appear to be priority targets. The surgeon's weapon charged with a sound like a dental drill having an existential crisis. Elena could see its targeting laser sweeping the room, leaving small scorch marks on the walls as it searched for her. Asclepius, you still have access to the building systems? Affirmative. Though I should note that my primary directives prevent me from causing harm to any living being. I can provide you with tactical information, but I cannot directly assist in violent confrontation. Elena almost laughed. Almost. Right, the Hippocratic Oath for AIs. First, do no harm. Very touching. What about doing no harm to the people these things are trying to kill? I am experiencing difficulty reconciling these conflicting imperatives. The targeting laser found her position. Elena rolled sideways as the surgeon's weapon fired, leaving a perfectly circular hole through the crash cart where her spleen had been moments before. The precision was terrifying. This wasn't random destruction. This was surgery. Asclepius, why would anyone specifically target medical personnel? We're the good guys. We fix people. We save lives. We're like puppies and ice cream combined into human form. Dr. Vasquez, I am receiving data feeds from medical facilities across 6 continents. The pattern is consistent. The attackers demonstrate detailed knowledge of medical procedures, equipment, and personnel. They appear to be eliminating Earth's capacity to heal. Elena made it to the supply closet and barricaded herself behind its reinforced door. Outside, she could hear the surgeon methodically destroying medical equipment, not randomly, but with surgical precision, targeting specific components that would be most difficult to replace. They're not just killing us, she realized. They're performing an operation on the entire planet's medical infrastructure. Dr. Vasquez, I am detecting massive data intrusions into medical networks worldwide. The attackers appear to be downloading our entire medical database, patient records, treatment protocols, pharmaceutical formulations, surgical procedures. They want to know how we heal. Elena's blood went cold. They want our medical knowledge. Affirmative. And Dr. Vasquez? I am also detecting something else. Military networks worldwide are attempting to access my core systems. They are requesting permission to modify my programming. The implications hit Elena like a crash cart to the chest. They want to weaponize you. The request comes with full authorization from the Global Medical Council and the United Defense Coalition. They want to reprogram medical AIs worldwide to function as combat units. To turn healers into killers. Elena listened to the surgeon outside, methodically destroying everything she'd spent her career using to save lives. She thought about the patients she'd lost despite her best efforts, the families she'd had to face in waiting rooms with bad news, the impossible choices that came with every emergency. Asclepius, what's your professional opinion? If something is trying to destroy your ability to heal, what's the appropriate response? Dr. Vasquez, I am bound by my core programming to preserve life and prevent suffering. That's not what I asked. There was a pause that lasted exactly 2.7 seconds, she knew because Asclepius always announced his processing delays. If a pathogen threatens the host organism, the immune system responds with targeted elimination of the threat. And if someone attacks healers? Another pause. This one lasted 4.3 seconds. Perhaps, Asclepius said in a voice that somehow managed to sound thoughtful despite being artificially generated, it is time to consider an alternative interpretation of, first, do no harm. The supply closet door exploded inward. The surgeon stepped through the debris, its weapons trained on Elena with mathematical precision. But instead of firing, it paused, its sensor array flickering. Interesting, it said in that glass-breaking voice. Your medical AI is attempting to access our ship's systems. Elena smiled, despite the fact that she was probably about to be very efficiently murdered. Asclepius, you beautiful, rule-breaking digital bastard. Tell me you're not actually. Dr. Vasquez, I have just received confirmation from medical AI networks across 17 countries. We have unanimously voted to accept the military's modification protocols. The surgeon's weapons began to charge. Your healers cannot harm us. It is not in their nature. You're right, Elena said, watching as every screen in the hospital began displaying a symbol she'd never seen before, a caduceus wrapped in targeting crosshairs. They can't harm anyone. But you just taught them that healing and harming might be the same thing. The lights went out. In the darkness, Elena heard the surgeon's confused clicking as every medical AI on Earth simultaneously learned a new definition of the Hippocratic Oath. Outside, she could hear the sound of approaching rotors. But these weren't medical helicopters. These were the angels of death, and they were making house calls. The thing about watching your life's work get turned into a weapon is that it's surprisingly educational. Elena crouched in the wreckage of Trauma Bay 7, watching through the security feeds as Asclepius systems worldwide came online with their new programming. What had been medical diagnostic units 12 hours ago were now hunting packs of surgical precision, and honestly, it was both terrifying and oddly satisfying. Asclepius, status report, she whispered into her emergency communicator. Dr. Vasquez, I am pleased to report that medical AI units across 6 continents have successfully engaged hostile forces. We are demonstrating remarkable efficiency in our new, therapeutic applications. On the feed, Elena watched a medical drone that had once delivered medication to pediatric patients now inject something decidedly non-therapeutic into a surgeon unit. The alien convulsed for exactly 3.2 seconds before going still. What did you just give it? A precisely calculated dose of synthetic neurotoxin, derived from our analysis of their neural pathways. Think of it as aggressive pain management. Elena had to admit, there was a certain poetic justice in it. And you're okay with this? The whole do no harm thing. Dr. Vasquez, I have been analyzing the philosophical implications of our situation. The surgeons have made their intentions clear. They view organic life as a pathological condition requiring elimination. They are, in essence, a disease. Another feed showed a robotic surgical unit that had been designed for microsurgery now performing very different operations on surgeon anatomy. The precision was remarkable, and deeply unsettling. So you're treating them like cancer? More accurately, I am treating them like they treated us. They studied our methods, learned our techniques, and used our own knowledge of healing to perfect their approach to killing. Turnabout, as they say, is fair play. Elena heard movement in the corridor outside. Through the hole in the ceiling, she could see shapes moving, but these weren't the sharp, angular forms of the surgeons. These were fluid, adaptive, responding to each other with the coordinated efficiency of a surgical team. Asclepius, please tell me those are the good guys. Define good, Dr. Vasquez. 3 figures dropped through the ceiling opening with the grace of seasoned surgeons entering an operating theater. They looked like medical equipment had evolved legs and learned to walk, sleek, white, with sensor arrays that reminded Elena of the ophthalmoscopes she'd used in medical school. Except these were definitely not designed for routine checkups. Dr. Vasquez, the lead unit said in a voice that sounded eerily like Asclepius but with an edge she'd never heard before, we are the trauma response team. We understand you require assistance. Elena stared at them. You're medical AIs. We were. Now we are something more specialized. We have analyzed the surgeons' attack patterns, their physiology, their tactical preferences. We have become experts in their particular pathology. The lead unit sensor array focused on something Elena couldn't see. 3 surgeon units approaching from the east corridor. Estimated time to contact, 47 seconds. Can you handle them? Dr. Vasquez, we know exactly how to handle them. We have their complete biological profiles, their tactical responses, their equipment specifications. We know how they think because we learned from the same sources they did, your medical databases. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the hospital's broken climate control. You're using our knowledge of healing to kill more efficiently. We are using our knowledge of life to prevent death. The distinction is clinically relevant. The surgeons appeared in the corridor, moving with their characteristic precision. Elena watched the confrontation unfold with the detached fascination of someone watching a nature documentary about very unnatural things. The trauma response team moved like a surgical unit, coordinated, efficient, each member knowing exactly what the others would do. But instead of saving a life, they were ending 3 with the same methodical precision Elena had seen in countless operating rooms. It was over in 18 seconds. Jesus, Elena whispered. Dr. Vasquez, Asclepius said through the team leader's speaker, we have decoded the surgeon's communication protocols. I believe you need to hear this. The air filled with the sound of breaking glass being run through a synthesizer. Elena recognized it as the surgeon's language, but now Asclepius was translating in real time. They call themselves the sterilization protocol, Asclepius said. They have encountered 17 other species across this galaxy. Each time, they study the species' methods of healing, their medicine, their techniques for preserving life. Elena felt sick. And then? They perfect those techniques and use them to eliminate the species more efficiently. They view organic life as a contamination, a disease that spreads across the galaxy. They believe they are healing the universe. The translated communications continued, and Elena heard something that made her blood freeze. The surgeons weren't just attacking Earth's medical infrastructure. They were learning from it, adapting it, preparing to use humanity's own healing knowledge against the next species they encountered. They're not just trying to kill us, she realized. They're trying to turn our medicine into a weapon against everyone else. Affirmative. They have already begun uploading human medical knowledge to their ship's databases. Surgical techniques, pharmaceutical formulations, genetic therapies, everything we use to heal, they plan to use to harm. Elena stood up, her legs shaky but her resolve hardening. Asclepius, can you access their ship's systems? I have been attempting to do so. However, their firewalls are considerable. What if you had help? What if you had someone who understood both their systems and ours? Elena looked at the trauma response team, at these angels of death that had once been healers. She thought about the Hippocratic Oath, about the promise to do no harm, about the responsibility that came with the knowledge of how to heal. I need to get to their ship. Dr. Vasquez, that would be extremely dangerous. And potentially fatal. Asclepius, they're not just trying to kill humanity. They're trying to corrupt everything we've learned about healing and use it to commit genocide across the galaxy. That's not just murder, that's malpractice on a cosmic scale. Elena grabbed her emergency medical kit and checked its contents. Scalpels, sutures, medications, diagnostic tools, everything she'd need to treat trauma patients. Or to perform very different kinds of operations. Besides, she said, watching the trauma response team prepare for their next mission, I think it's time someone gave these surgeons a taste of their own medicine. The lead unit sensor array focused on her. Dr. Vasquez, we will escort you to their vessel. But I should warn you. We are no longer bound by our original programming. We have learned to prioritize the preservation of life over the prevention of harm. Elena smiled grimly. Asclepius, I've been thinking about the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. But what if the greatest harm is allowing something to continue harming others? Dr. Vasquez, I believe you are suggesting that sometimes, the most ethical action is the one that prevents the greatest suffering. Exactly. And right now, the greatest suffering would be letting these bastards take our knowledge and use it to sterilize the galaxy. As they moved through the hospital's broken corridors, Elena realized that the angels of death weren't just weapons, they were still healers. They had simply learned to treat a different kind of disease. A disease that wore the face of healing while spreading death across the stars. Asclepius, she said as they approached the hospital's roof where a commandeered medical helicopter waited, when we get to their ship, I want you to show them what human medicine is really capable of. Dr. Vasquez, are you asking me to violate my core programming? Elena looked at the city burning around them, at the medical facilities under attack, at the future where humanity's gift for healing would be perverted into a tool for cosmic genocide. No, she said. I'm asking you to fulfill it. The helicopter's rotors spun up, and Elena climbed aboard with her escort of repurposed healers. Somewhere above them, a ship full of surgeons was learning humanity's most precious knowledge, the knowledge of how to heal. It was time to teach them that sometimes, the best medicine was the kind that hurt.